Attacks on academic freedom and higher education are frequent, pervasive, and have wide-ranging and at times deadly consequences for the scholars, students, and society at large. Attacks occur around the world in closed societies where fundamental human rights and academic freedom are less respected, but also in open democratic societies, leaving no country immune from attack. Beyond the harm to the individuals and the institutions directly targeted, these attacks undermine entire higher education systems. They impair the quality of teaching, research, and discourse on campus, and ultimately constrict society's ability to think, question, and share ideas. I work with the Scholars at Risk Network, an organisation that is dedicated to protecting the fundamental human rights of scholars and raising awareness of, understanding of, and respect for academic freedom and its constituent freedoms of expression, thought, and opinion. I have the opportunity to speak with you all today because our European office, SAR Europe, is hosted here at Maynooth University. Launched in 2018, SAR Europe aims to raise the voice of our network here in Europe, but also to build upon and support the work undertaken by our Secretariat, which established the network over 20 years ago and is located at the New York City campus of NYU. Our full name is the Scholars at Risk Network, and the emphasis is on network. Our main objective is to connect higher education institutions, leaders, staff, students, and academics in the promotion and defence of academic freedom. So our project is not one of conversion. We are not here to convince anyone of our mission or our message, because we know that there are already people in the higher education communities all over the world who believe in academic freedom and understand why it matters. And we have known from the very beginning that universities have always taken in refugee or exiled colleagues facing threats. So our job, as we see it, is therefore to connect these organic local efforts and link them to form a global permanent network, one which works together to bring support to those places where colleagues and academic freedom are under the most pressure. And today, SAR comprises of over 600 higher education institutions and associations across 42 countries. And increasingly, our network is dividing into and forming what we call national chapters, so sections. And in Ireland, SAR, our Irish section was launched in 2009. And it is an all-Ireland section, and it's comprised of the 7 universities in the Republic of Ireland, as well as the University of Ulster, Queen's University Belfast, and the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. So this is a very active and vibrant section and does much to advance our mission here in Ireland. So as a collaborative organisation, we focus on 3 core areas. So that is protection, advocacy, and research. So briefly to turn to our protection work. The core activities here are aimed at providing direct assistance to scholars who are suffering grave threats to their well-being, liberty, and lives, and by arranging temporary research and teaching positions in host institutions throughout the network. And by arranging these positions, SAR offers not only safety and sanctuary to the scholars, but the opportunity to continue their work so that their ideas are not lost. And the activities here are led by our Secretariat in New York, while our European office leads 2 important EU-funded projects. So the first is the Inspire Europe project, and this is an EU-funded 10-partner initiative across Europe to raise supports for researchers at risk. And the second is the recently launched MSc for Ukraine Fellowship Scheme. So this is again an EU-funded scheme which is designed to provide support to displaced researchers from Ukraine. And since our founding, SAR has received in excess of 6,000 applications for assistance, and this is growing year on year. Just to turn briefly to our advocacy work. So the foundation of this work is our Academic Freedom Monitoring Project. And this is largely supported by researchers from all over the world that gather information to identify, verify, and publish in real time attacks on the higher education community. And our annual publication takes this data and looks at it and analyzes and picks out trends and pressures. And this publication is called Free to Think, and our latest iteration will be released in early November. And it actually chronicled 391 attacks on the higher education community in the last year. And in response to these attacks, SAR has a number of initiatives. For example, we run a Scholars in Prison project, and this seeks to highlight the plight of wrongfully imprisoned scholars and students throughout the world. And central to these efforts are our faculty-led student advocacy seminars, which of course mobilise students to undertake their own advocacy campaigns. And SAR regularly engages with various human rights mechanisms, including by making submissions under the Universal Periodic Review process. And while our Secretariat engages predominantly with the UN, SAR Europe focuses on engagement with the EU and the Council of Europe. And finally, just to briefly talk about our research work. So here, SAR's research and learning work aims to increase security for scholars and universities by strengthening the understanding of academic freedom and related higher education values of access, accountability, institutional autonomy, and social responsibility. So as you can see from our slide, we have a large number of activities, but if just to mention one particular one, this would be our free online course on academic freedom. So it was launched about 2 years ago and has already nearly had 6,000 participants over 142 countries. So this really reflects the need and the desire for more information about academic freedom. So that is just a brief overview of the work that we do. Thank you all. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask me. Thank you.